Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just, reading a document. We are stepping right into the wild, chaotic studio of an eccentric creative mind. As an artist myself, looking at the works of 𝔟𝔯𢢢𝔢 and 𝔂𝔂𝔢𝔢𝔫 feels literally like staring into a digital mirror. We're going to explore this collection of texts, digital track lists, and visual fragments that are just this unapologetically raw exploration of trauma, creation, and what it even means to exist in the modern world. It's confusing, sure, but it's also brilliant, and it's completely unfiltered.
In the beginning was space for the gods to create. That single line, wow. It sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack. I mean, think of this entire text as a raw, bleeding digital exorcism. The artist is clearly suffocating under the weight of the world, of their own emotions, right? And they are practically demanding the void, just an empty space, simply to exist and breathe. They're stepping into that space to play God with their own reality, completely tearing down the old to build something entirely new.
Section 1. The Canvas of Chaos. Now, if you try to read this text like a standard essay, you're going to be instantly lost. We absolutely have to view this as a stream of consciousness poem. It's this incredibly fluid narrative style that captures a person's thought processes in a realistic and, well, often entirely unpunctuated way. The author isn't trying to hand you a polished presentation here. They're letting their spiraling, unfiltered feelings bleed right onto the page. Every typo, every repeated word, every sudden shift, it's a direct heart monitor reading of their emotional state.
And this brilliantly illustrates the intense vulnerability of the work. You get these visceral, almost physical elements, splatters that look like wet paint, or honestly, maybe even blood. The author writes, "White's vulnerable. I'm trying. See my pain. See it." They're practically begging for intimacy here, asking us to look past all the mess and just see the aching human underneath the whole shebang.
As a fellow creator, I deeply feel the frantic state of mind in these deliberate stylistic choices. Just look at the rebellion. We've got phonetic spellings like love and no. You have these repetitive, spiraling words. They use wild spatial formatting, dropping words down the page like they're physically falling, and they just completely strip down standard punctuation. This isn't just a lack of editing, It's an absolute deliberate rejection of the conventional rules of communication.
You can literally feel how this emotional descent accelerates. They write, "Where's the exit? Where's the exit? Where's the exit?" just over and over, faster and faster, until the words build this literal wall of panic. And then comes the ultimate realization. I am in chaos. I am the chaos. It's pure, unhinged energy. It visually represents a complete psychological freefall. They aren't just experiencing the storm anymore, they have absolutely become the storm.
Section 2. Willpower within the void.
So, as artists, when we finally realize that we are the chaos, what do? Well, we exert overwhelming self-will. Do your will well. And then, check out that Greek word at the end, 𝔟𝔠𝔢𝔢𝔫. This is a massive callback to the ancient, occult pursuit of aligning your ultimate willpower against entropy, something popularized by figures like Aleister Crowley. The artist is literally pulling from these deep, esoteric traditions to say, hey, in a world devoid of meaning, your only salvation is to enact your own absolute, unbending will.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the beautiful clash happening inside the artist's mind. On one hand, there's this desperate yearning for an ordered universe that operates within laws, pleading for synchronicity and meaning. But on the other hand, there's this active invocation of destruction, demanding to let great structure beget great chaoses. They're wrestling with the desire for a safe, structured home against the artist's primal urge to just smash the walls down to see what's hiding behind them.
Section 3. Wealth, Magic, and Destruction.
There's this moment with the corner of a $5 bill just discarded on cracked asphalt under a glaring red light. The artist points out that material accumulation is utterly rudderless without rich meaning. To them, the physical money we all chase so desperately, it's just trash on the street. It's a total illusion, a meaningless distraction from the real, agonizing work of the soul.
The contrast here is incredibly stark. Possession of wealth is of the man, but riches are in the eye. True wealth is entirely internal. And how exactly do you access that internal wealth? Well, Great magic lies in good destructions. They passionately believe that tearing down societal expectations, destroying your old limiting beliefs, and basically breaking the constructs of everyday life is the absolute only way to perform true magic and build a new, authentic existence.
Section 4. Echoes of the Occult. So the crucial point is how the author maps their internal chaos. To make sense of their modern madness, they borrow heavily from ancient mapping, specifically the Kabbalistic tree of life. In the middle of a text filled with spiraling panic and fragmented thoughts, they suddenly inject this highly structured diagram of ultimate cosmic balance. They're desperately trying to balance their divinity with their foundation, looking for any way to synthesize the light and the dark parts of their fractured psyche into one cohesive whole.
They become totally obsessed with symbols of intersection, detailing trinities and how these crossings on the tree of life twist and turn without end. For an artist who feels trapped in a linear, suffocating world, these crosses represent infinity, a loop, a cycle, a constant recurrence, where creative energy flows endlessly rather than just hitting a brick wall.
Which leads them to their ultimate muse, Abraxas. Now, Abraxas is this supreme, ancient Gnostic deity that represents the absolute union of both God and the devil, of unified light and dark, of creation and destruction. The author kind of whispers this concept throughout the text, noting, "I find my only clarities with Abraxas." Because honestly, in a mind fractured by trauma and chaos, a God that embraces both the beautiful and the terrifying is the only thing that makes any sense at all.
Section 5. The Modern Digital Grimoire.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this is where the genius truly shines. The artist actually treats their modern digital metadata as their own personal spell book, a literal digital grimoire. Instead of ancient parchment, their spells are track lists and file names. The lemma becomes this act of sabotaging an algorithm. The divine is hidden in occult metadata. An ancient exorcism is suddenly expressed as glitchy digital grief. They are performing high magic, but they're using the internet as their altar.
As an artist myself, this line is just a heartbreakingly honest confession. I'm writing in code and I don't know what I am doing right now. It's that terrifying moment where the boundaries between the creator, the creation, and the code completely dissolve. They're pouring so much of their raw, unfiltered soul into the machine that they're practically losing themselves entirely in their own digital medium.
And it all culminates in this final seal, this stark red logo of 𝔟𝔬𝔢𝔢𝔫. This is the author's final artistic persona, the self-proclaimed creative executive artist trying to somehow tie a bow around all this beautiful, unhinged trauma. It's a brand, a sigil, and a shield all rolled into one, presented to the world as a finished piece of art that was born entirely from internal agony.
So, as we step back from this exhibition, we really have to look at the totality of what we've just witnessed. The bleeding colors, the spiraling words, the occult symbols, the algorithmic spells. So, what does this all mean? I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. Is the text of St. Brevin a tragic digital breakdown of a mind totally overwhelmed by the modern world? Or is it a masterful modern breakthrough of the soul discovering brand new ways to weave ancient magic into the digital void? The canvas of chaos is open to your interpretation. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep creating, and I'll catch you on the next one.